Again, so I just wanted to say that when the Divine Feminine activates and initiates within you, there's a kind of energy and a power and a force of awakening that happens. It can be expressed and experienced in a very many different ways, depending upon where the person, the initiate, is at on the path. So everybody is at a different stage in their soul's evolution. Every woman has gone through all kinds of different things in their own way, in their own life experience, and with their agreements for being human. So at any time, wherever you are on the path, to step into the kind of container that we're in, to step into the kind of initiations and activations that we are in, is perfect for you. When I say to you at the beginning, when you step in with the Divine Feminine on this kind of a path of initiation and awakening, it's a force, it's a power, it's a living energy expression that might be new, and it shows up differently for everybody. So I can remember different phases of mine where I've had various kinds of experiences, and I think that what I'm really trying to help you remember right now is that that's potentially happening in your life, that you may or may not see it as such, though. You may or may not see that anything that's coming up for you is coming up specifically for what has been being activated in this initiation walk. So the power and the force of this energy is real. It's a living experience. Sometimes people feel that as things needing to die, things needing to change. Sometimes sickness in the body comes up so that you can literally purge out stuff that does not need to be in the cells of your body, in the consciousness of your body, in the activation of your next expressions of living life. Sometimes we go into the pit. Sometimes we rise really, really high and feel like we have totally transformed. One of the things that I've learned in the 10 to 15 years of this deep immersive experience of mine is that we have to find the kinds of balances that stabilize us to live a great life and be that great expression and experience while not staying stuck in any of the parts that make it the totality of our being. So sometimes when we fall into the pit, it's easier to stay in the pit because that's very familiar, and boy, the world supports that, and so does the victimization of the small self to not rise. And so we have to find our way out of there. We have to get stable. We have to bring the light measure back up, meet us in the middle. We have to learn how to hold that new frequency, gain everything we got from the underworld and the darkness and the burning down and the death and the destruction of the old, in order to embrace and affirm and confirm and solidify the new foundation of which you stand. And then you keep rising, and then sometimes you keep riding those waves emotionally, physically, spiritually, metaphorically, in the ways of what the light body, in the ways of what your choices are, in the ways in which you feel guided by, in the ways in which you feel isolated or abandoned by. But it is taking personal responsibility for the path you are on with the vision you have to understand it where you are. And every piece of that leads you to the next place of your understanding of that, of your holding that next level frequency. And then the next one when it comes again, because maybe that next one in between is so huge. You never thought you would go through anything like that to get to where you are now. So it keeps evolving, but with consciousness of literally knowing that you're on that path doing it. That is what is making the difference now. That is what is the activation in the world. That is what is the embodiment of the Divine Feminine. It is not about how do I be a sexier woman, although that can be fun and that's a part of it too, but it's not that. It's how do I be the embodiment of the Divine Feminine as me at the next greatest level I can be it. Well, how you do that is by practice, intention, and consciousness. or intention, practice, and consciousness. So you are intending that you are on this path. You are intending that you are carrying these codes. You are intending that this is a real living embodiment expression happening through and as you. Then you practice those things. You practice it. You see where it is happening in your life. You recognize. You do the practices of breath work or meditation and prayer. You take yourself to the thing that you've kind of always wanted to do since you were a little girl, but you didn't do. Maybe you need to take ballet lessons as an adult. Maybe you need to go to an art class. Maybe you need to jump out of a plane. Maybe you need to go to a yoga retreat or the movies all by yourself. Maybe you need to know how to hold your own in the face of anything. And you need to call yourself up for those things. That's practice. That's the way in which we affirm and root in who we really are. Because by doing those things, by vowing to promise yourself that you will take care of yourself through all of those things, you find your strength, you find your courage, you find your light, you find the darkness, you love the darkness, you embrace the pieces of you. And that is a part of the initiations because you are reclaiming yourself there. And then the consciousness. The consciousness is to be aware that it is always happening. It is simultaneously happening even when you feel lost and fucked up. It is simultaneously happening when you are actually standing around a fire with women holding hands singing, praises to each other and loving the experience in a new way, in a sisterhood way. Or it is bringing consciousness to your daily interactions. You're doing the dishes, you're making dinner for your family, or you're running errands, or you're going to work, and you realize this is a piece of the game that I'm playing, and I bring consciousness to it. I awaken while I'm in it, and I remember I am the initiate of the high priestess on this path. I am aligning to the higher frequencies even while I'm doing the 3D. Even while I'm doing the dishes or making the bed or running errands across town or going to work or doing the bills or making love to my lover or however it is that we are being human as the physical embodiment of the divine feminine, you are bringing consciousness that you are the initiate, the high priestess. You are seeing broader. You are remembering fuller. You are anchoring the codes while you are staying conscious. That's right, I'm at the beach and I'm playing with my kids, but I am dropping the light. I am remembering who I really am. I can have a simultaneous thought of my multidimensionality, and I can have the simultaneous thought of being in the world and thinking I got to go to the store and get spaghetti. You hold the frequencies. This is the consciousness. This is the way you hold the remembering of all that you have ever been. And then when we come into ceremony and when we come into initiations, when we come into the vows, when we come into the higher holy places of the sacred containers, we anchor that which you have been doing in the in-between, in the everyday practices, in the everyday prayers, in the everyday calling it in and calling it out into the world. That is in the in-between is what you're doing to be it. And then when we come together, we affirm and confirm that in our devotion and in our communal connection of amplifying those frequencies. And then we take these next steps. Then there's next steps. Then there's next practices. Then there's next initiations. Then there's next vows. And that's the path. That's what we're doing. That's what you're doing. So just a little reminder, keep it up. Keep going. You've got this. We're with you. Love you.